Hello, and welcome to another thrilling, yes, it's thrilling, this is thrilling episode of Prog Review. And dog snoring. But don't let that put you off. It just puts me off. This week, well, when was it? Was it the 20th of November? You know, these things pop up in your timelines. It was a young chap called Kevin Gilbert. It's his birthday. Some people know what I'm talking about, but for those of you who don't, I shall tell you a story. This is a story. Because this isn't, I don't know if this is really an album review. I don't think it is. I don't know what this is. But we'll talk about it anyway. Yeah, back in the... Do you remember the 90s? Does anyone remember the 90s? I do. I was there. I remember the 90s. But back in the 90s, on Usenet, news groups, because that's how we used to share information, there was lots of talk about Genesis. And who remembers Genesis? And that Phil Collins had left and that there was going to be a new singer and various names were touted. And this young fellow called Kevin Gilbert, who couldn't have been, I'm trying to think, how old would he have been? 29, I suppose. Was one of the names, I think, that was out there. But he came to prominence because, and this is what I want you to check out. This is the important thing. Because I'm a grizzled, cynical old fucker. You know me. I'm like, oh, that don't impress me much. I'm like that. You got to impress me. Come on, son, impress me, I say. And even back in those days, it was like, go on in, impress me. And his name came to prominence because he had a band called Giraffe. And I don't know if you'd call it I don't know if it was a prog band. I don't really know. I know about Kevin Gilbert because he has a very interesting story which I'm going to lead on to. I should have scripted this. This is why people don't watch, because you haven't scripted it and it's off the top of your head, and people don't like that. They want you to think that you actually done work. You try and talk to a camera for 10 minutes without a script, without editing out the gaps and make it entertaining. Huh? You're telling me that ain't a talent? Tell that it's skill, huh? But anyway, Gilbert and his band Giraffe played something called, was it ProgFest 94? And what they did is they performed The Lamb by Genesis. Oh yeah. Now the cynical about how they go, oh, we've seen Hackett do his thing, you know, Genesis Revisited, and we've seen the musical box, and we've seen that. And again, at the time, because this was before MP3s and before YouTube, I remember hearing little clips of this. It must have been like an uncompressed WAV file that took 3 days to download. But I remember hearing little snippets of it and going, oh, that's really good. That's really interesting, you know. But I didn't hear all of it. And I don't know if there was a CD available. This is the most boring story ever, isn't it? Isn't this boring? But anyway, and I thought, oh, this is cool. I'll have to check this out. And then time goes by, and as we know, Ray Wilson gets the gig, and I forgot about Kevin Gilbert because, again, the internet's like that, and I had other things going on. And I think it was maybe, crikey, was it been about 99? This all kind of came back up to the surface again, and I thought, all right, Kevin Gilbert. I don't know what caused me to look for it, and I saw. I think there was a very low compressed video from the actual thing of this concert. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. And then I found out, rather sadly, that Kevin Gilbert had killed himself with a strangle wank, autoerotic asphyxiation, and that the management of Genesis has actually been in touch with his management to go and audition for the, I don't know, Phil Collins, Ray Wilson position before Ray Wilson got it. But he was already dead, and it upset me. It still upsets me to this day, because I'm not saying that Ray Wilson didn't do a good job. I'm not saying that Kevin Gilbert would have done a good job, but it's that lack of potential. It's the same way that Jeff Buckley's death irritated me. I think they died in the same year or a year after. It was close together, and it's that potential that really kind of got to me. Really got to me. I was like, oh man, that's sad. Remember, folks, autoerotic asphyxiation isn't fun. And if you're going to do it, if you really feel the need to do it, have somebody there with you, because if you fuck it up, you're going to die. All right? So always have a friend on hand. I know it sounds weird, but if you're going to indulge in that kind of thing, you need somebody there to make sure you don't fucking kill yourself. Because if you do it on your own, there's a good chance you could. All right? And we don't want any more people doing stuff like that and killing themselves. You know, you got to be, if you're going to play dangerously, you've got to play clever. So this is kind of getting me off the point. But the story of Kevin Gilbert's really interesting because he... the dog snores. Not only did he do this Giraffe thing, he played in a lot of bands. He was one of those people that never quite made it. Even though he's a very talented guy, good-looking guy, could play anything, amazing voice. And you'll see that if you check out the footage, which... This is what this video is about. It's about that footage of the Lamb performance, because I watched it the other day. I watched it when I found out about it, and I thought, wow, I remember him. I remember that. And somebody had uploaded it, and I watched it in full in its entirety, and I was blown away by it. Not because it's a faithful representation, because he makes the footage his own. Now, again, I thought I was going to do a prog review about cover versions that work. After doing that awful, Anthony Phillips cover versions album, which I thought was appalling, and I thought, well, there's an album, a tribute album to Nick Drake, and I was going to cover that. I might still do it, and I was going to hold that up as a good example of cover versions. And then I thought, well, no, let's do this instead, because this is a cover of The Lamb, and it's not the entire album, because for time they had to edit it down. But this is a band that, you know, they did it for one event. They know the music, and it's young men playing it, so there's a real passion there. And this is back in '94 when progressive music, or prog rock, was nowhere. It was nothing. No one was interested in it. It was unfashionable. It was uncool. So for these guys to learn all this and to get up there, it shows you that they weren't doing it for money. They weren't doing it for adulation. They weren't doing it for any kind of recognition. They were doing it because they loved it, because it meant something to them. And I don't think they would have anticipated the subsequent reaction to it. Because if you watch it now, this is what I say about being a good thing. You wouldn't necessarily think it was a Genesis album, because they make it their own. Even though the music is the same, it's Kevin Gilbert's performance, which is wholly remarkable, because he doesn't try and put on Gabriel's voice. He doesn't try and do, like a pastiche. He sings it in his own voice, and it's so powerful. And again, when you find out what happens to Gilbert, it makes me feel sad, but happy at the same time. Happy that we've got this thing, but sad that he was so fucking stupid to do what he did, because there was real potential there. But there's more to the story than that, because this is a really interesting story. Because Gilbert, not only did he do this, he could do anything. He looked like he could do anything he wanted. He was knocking around with a young singer called Sheryl Crow, and in, I guess it'd be Hollywood, LA. They used to have this thing called the Tuesday Night Music Club, and him, Sheryl Crow, and a load of other musicians sat around, came up with ideas, for songs and whatnot. And then it all kind of fell apart, and Crow went off, took a couple of musicians with a drummer, I think, and the producer, somebody who's doing the mixing, and put an album out called Tuesday Night Music Club, and went on to have an amazing career on the back of that. And of course, Kevin Gilbert, was aggrieved, because him and some of the other people involved had felt like that they had, been involved in the music, whether it was writing or, been there at the creation point. They'd been left behind. And again, he was one of those people that was kind of chewed up by the music biz and spat out. And so that's another aspect to the story, which again I find quite fascinating, because you only hear one side of it. I don't think Sheryl Crow's ever really talked about it. So you only have like his side, and it's all on the internet. If you go out there and read it up, it's a fascinating, if sad, in sad story. It's it's how things happen. And I originally was going to call my live stream the Tuesday Night Music Club, not because of Sheryl Crow. Could have been. All I wanna do is have some fun, but because we have it on a Tuesday night, and I was going to call it Tuesday Night. But then you worry about getting sued, didn't you? So I didn't call it that. I gave it the more sensible name of the Darren Lock live stream, YouTube live stream experience, which is much more modest thing. But yeah, so the other day on me Facebook or Twitter feed, it came up. Oh, it says Kevin. It would have been Kevin Gilbert's 53rd birthday, and I thought, oh, you git, because I'm still annoyed at him. And I went on YouTube and I found that all the footage was there of the gig, and I'd never watched it in its entirety. Like I said, I've only heard clips and bits of it, and I think there was an album released as well. I might see if I can link to that. And if you can, go and check it out, because this is what I mean about somebody getting up there. A bit like Ray Wilson, because again, when Ray Wilson sings with Genesis or sang with Genesis, he makes it his own. When he sings with Hackett, when he's done, was it Carpet Crawlers or whatnot, there's a guy who just makes it his own, and that's what is a good thing. And I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna knock him. This is why I can't stand people like Ned Sylvan, because he doesn't make it his own. He tries to pretend to be somebody else, and so Gilbert dies, and we end up with people like Ned Sylvan, and that's the whole point of this video, really. It's just such a waste of talent, and instead we have these unworthy pretenders come in and do a poor job instead. But yeah, do check it out, because it is really remarkable, and you'll understand what I mean about what the difference between a good cover version and a bad one. A good one should be full of passion and not just reworking or going over the material. And the ending of that, when they do I don't want to spoil it. When you get to it, that bit is brilliant at the end. It's brilliant. It truly is good. And this is from a cynical old fart who's sneery, and I'm like, I'm like that. But I'm actually telling you to check out something that normally I might cock a snook at. And this is for Kevin Gilbert, because I think it was a great shame what happened to him. Again, some of his music that he made isn't to my taste, but he was a bloody good songwriter. He had a talent, and it's a shame. I always get upset when people, talented people go, because there's all that stuff that could have been, and it always gets to me. But yeah, so I'm going to put linkies in there, so you check that out. And I give Giraffe with Kevin Gilbert, I think it's called, was it ProgFest 94, doing the Lamb. I give that 1,000,000 Slippermen out of 5, because what the hell, we can do that. And if you've got an hour, I think it's an hour and 10 minutes, hour and 15 minutes, your lunch break, go and watch that. Don't watch me, go and watch that instead, because you'll come away with it going, do you know what? That was good. And everything that's happening today in prog is a load of old bollocks. That's people doing it with passion, for real, not for kudos. They actually did it to a very small audience, and it's vital. It's vital. That's it. It's vital, and it's full of energy, and it's full of life, and and Gilbert, I'm still annoyed at you, and I will be. And that's that. My name's been Darren Lock. I've been talking about Kevin Gilbert. That was different, wasn't it? And yeah, we'll do this all again soon. There's no more thing left to say. That is prog on. And don't have a strangle wank on your own.